I view ketogenic natural bodybuilding as a very healthy sport. I think it is, the fountain of youth if you do everything properly. But I don't ever recommend competing every year. I recommend people have a long reverse diet. I recommend people have a long time in the maintenance and building phase. I feel like people that compete every year make it very unhealthy. For
Mhm.
me to become the leanest person on planet Earth, I'm going to have to take it to a little bit of an extreme level for sure. And it would be a very finite period of time, but I want that title. Like I want to achieve that. And I'm willing to sacrifice health in the short term for that. Now, I do think I'll mitigate that health risk significantly by doing it with a ketogenic, protocol, especially as a natural athlete. But getting down to sub 5% body fat is not healthy no matter which way you slice it. But I will need to get that lean in order to make this happen.
Would you trade your sin for a pot of gold? 'Cause the devil within is eating at my goals. Would you choose him? Or would you tell him no? 'Cause I'll never forget the night I almost sold my soul.
Bro, haven't talked to you in like 2 hours. Sorry about that, man.
It's been a while.
I know. So I'm going to fill in you and the audience in on earlier today at the same time right now, if that's cool.
Lay it on me, man.
Okay. So the last time we really talked, I think, was after our recording on your show, and I was and I was like, "When's your calendar free next?" And you said 3/15 of 2023 at 12:30 p.m. CST. And me being the bicep brain that I am, I went 2 hours the wrong way in my head. So I'm just like starting to get ready for this show. And Taylor catches this email from Robert saying, I'm on. And I'm like, oh, heck no. We got kids running around the house and stuff. It is not quiet here. Like, anyway, John C. Maxwell, the world's leading leadership expert, teaches that the most important meeting is the meeting before the meeting. This podcast is our life. It's our creative outlet. It's the heartbeat of our business, about like it is for you. So preparing a podcast is literally a several-hour process of studying the guest, preparing a respectful introduction, and most importantly, gathering the proper questions to make the most use of their time. Especially someone like Robert, who wants to help make our show the best that it can be, because we're all warriors that are kind of on the same unified mission in this low-carb bodybuilding space to help other people live healthy and look their best long term. Paul wrote in Philippians 2:2, fulfill my joy by thinking the same way, having the same love, sharing the same feelings, focusing on one goal. So when Taylor and I, the reason I say it is because when Taylor and I have long days where we feel like we're just like spinning our tires, we're up until midnight, still working, we think of all that you and Crystal had to overcome getting Keto Brick off the ground and turning your vision into a reality. So Robert could see that I was thrown off earlier today because we both jumped on the call, and kindly made some last minute changes on his end to reconnect later today, like I had plans, so that we could work it around for both of us. If that doesn't show his character, then I don't really know what does. So again, sorry about that, bro. Glad that we're here again.
All good. Life happens, bro. Let's just take it in stride.
Yeah, that's right. So for those of you that do not know this keto bodybuilder entrepreneur's story, you should check out his interview on Bart Kay's show. That one was epic. Just go to YouTube and search. Yeah. Search Robert Sikes Bart Kay, and it'll be the first thing that comes up. It's one of those. It's one of the best podcasts that I've ever heard. It's one of the greatest talks that I've ever heard about health, fitness, life ever. So seriously, go check out this one. I was laughing my butt off the entire way through it as soon as it dropped. So I'd like to touch on some of that too.
Yeah.
And then first of all, big announcement is that Coach Colt will now be proudly representing Keto Brick LLC as an official brand influencer. So this has been a dream come true in so many ways. Funny backstory on that one too, bro. So 2 weeks after my interview on Bart Kay's show, I was convinced by overwhelming science of the benefits of further restricting my diet to eliminate all non-meat products except from salt from my diet, which was, it's been a good move. It's been helping my marathon training. It's been great for my hypertrophy training. Currently on track to be guest posing at the Open Natural Bodybuilding Championship in Kirkland, Washington, July 22nd. So I think that's a little bit before your show this year.
Yeah, quite a bit before.
Yeah. So I'm going to reverse diet to 500 grams plus of fat, almost there without gaining an additional body fat. Going to talk to Mr. Robert and pull his expert opinion a little bit later and make sure that's possible. Anyway, and why is because this all makes me a better coach as Taylor and I continue to passionately live and teach how to maximize muscle and minimize body fat within the context of optimizing your long-term health to make your physique, way of eating, and exercise routines sustainable for the long haul should the Lord take his time to come back. Matthew 24:36 for that reference. So immediately after making this announcement and this personal commitment that this dream came true. So needless to say, the last 2 weeks have basically been modified until further notice as a meat and salt and keto brick diet. And so although Taylor,
that, man, meat and bricks, bro, that's what I eat.
Yeah, meat and bricks, exactly. So Taylor and myself, our kids, we've all been fans of these for several years. Our kids call them chocolate because there's obviously no sugar allowed in this house. But for us, it's a lot more than food. For us, it's supporting perhaps the coolest movement in the world of bodybuilding. I believe that keto carnivore bodybuilding is the future of natural bodybuilding, and so does this man here. It's with absolute joy to become a part of this movement. I'm going to put a link to where you can buy those bricks in the description in the show notes. Lots of cool ingredients here that I'm looking at diving into. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Mr. Robert, welcome back to the show again.
Hey, good to be here, man. I'm excited to be chatting with you.
Absolutely, man. What's the newest and hottest projects besides the obvious in your life lately?
So I'm working on that course still. The course is never ending, so that'll be dropping in a few months. That's going to be that's the main focus right now. Plus, obviously, everything with the keto breaks. Today's tax day, so I've been doing taxes all week, which is just lovely. So yeah, just another day in the life of business entrepreneur and bodybuilder. You know, getting ready to start up my prep in a few weeks. So I'm super stoked about that.
Mm-hmm. And what's the? I know we were just talking about, but just for everybody else, what's the date for that?
For the start of the prep, it'll be the 3rd of April, so the first Monday in April. And there's, as far as the competitions go, I'm not really sure. There's several tentative competitions. I'm going to be doing at least 2 or 3, possibly as many as 5, but 5 would be quite a stretch, as you well know. Doing that many kind of wears on you, but they're all going to fall in that October, November timeframe.
Wow. So are you going to use the same peaking protocol for each one, or are you going to change things up and experiment and kind of be elaborate a little bit?
So I'm going to do the same peaking protocol for the earlier ones, but then the later ones, I'm probably going to reverse that into the show. So I'm going to get so freakishly lean, it's going to be redefining what leanness is. And then I'm going to reverse diet to fill out even further into the latter shows. So that's my plan there. We'll kind of just see how my body responds to it.
Wow. That sounds extremely exciting. I can't wait to see how this turns out. I would love to see Bart's reaction to what you just said about becoming freakishly lean.
I actually decided this morning. So like I was listening to David Goggins' book, his new one, Never Finished. Have you listened to it, by the way?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, highly recommend it. But he like tore his ACL and then he went and ran the Moab 240 after tearing his ACL. And like once he got the news his ACL was torn, he's like, okay, I'm gonna run the Moab 240. And then he ran several other ultras after that. And it's like that is a preposterous goal, but like it's such an astounding goal that you can't help but be excited about it. And I'm trying to do the exact same thing with the bodybuilding. So like people compete in bodybuilding shows all the time. I've competed in many bodybuilding shows and I like it. It takes a certain degree of finesse to get to that level, but I want to go to the next echelon. Like I don't want to just simply compete in bodybuilding shows and really be competitive in those bodybuilding shows. I want to be the leanest person on planet Earth and then compete in a bodybuilding show just simply as a default to being the leanest person on planet Earth. That's my goal.
Wow. Okay. So I love where this is going because that's one of the topics that I wanted to touch on later. But since we're already there, I'm dying and I have to ask you this. Okay. So you and I both had a conversation with Mr. Kay lately. And this gentleman is one of the most brilliant in the health space. I think you and I can both agree on that.
Okay, for sure.
He's very, very disproportionately, comparatively speaking, different in terms of in terms of his focus on his coaching and on his content, because his whole goal is to is for overall health and well-being. Live as long as you can, as healthy as you can, right? And then there's almost like another end of the spectrum from an athletic standpoint when it comes to bodybuilding, when it comes to hardcore sports, and when it comes to especially sports that have a lot of risk involved with them, to the point to where you and I see a value in winning and a value in accomplishing something, even sometimes maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but possibly at the expense of your own health, knowing that you're probably going to get injured and you're probably going to have some boo-boos and you're going to be banged up a little bit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you have, and I'm kind of towards the far left extreme, if we just want to call it that, which is having a background of like a hockey mentality. If you're not injured, you're probably not trying hard enough, kind of thing. And then you have the far end, like the health end of the spectrum. Where are you at on that? Are you in the middle? Are you kind of towards the left, kind of where I'm at?
It kind of depends, man. Like I view ketogenic natural bodybuilding as a very healthy sport. I think it is, the fountain of youth if you do everything properly. But I don't ever recommend competing every year. I recommend people have a long reverse diet. I recommend people have a long time in the maintenance and building phase. I feel like people that compete every year make it very unhealthy. For me to become the leanest person on planet Earth, I'm going to have to take it to a little bit of an extreme level for sure. And it would be a very finite period of time, but I want that title. Like I want to achieve that. And I'm willing to sacrifice health in the short term for that. Now, I do think I'll mitigate that health risk significantly by doing it with a ketogenic, protocol, especially as a natural athlete. But getting down to sub 5% body fat is not healthy no matter which way you slice it, but I will need to get that lean in order to make this happen.
Mm-hmm. How long do you plan on being at that low level of body fat?
Probably not more than about 6 weeks. Yeah, probably about 6 weeks. Because I have, depending on how many shows I do, it's going to wind up stretching from early October to mid-November. So probably about 6 weeks would be the extent of it.
Wow. Do you like start forgetting people's names and stuff towards the end of it, and like you're a little off kilter if you got glute striations for that long?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely it definitely wears on you, man. Like you have to just adopt this mentality that's unlike anything else. Your fuse is most certainly shorter. But honestly, the big overarching goal that I have with this prep, not only to become the leanest person ever, which is a pretty sizable goal in the first place, but to do so while still maintaining a happy relationship with my wife in the home. Like that in tandem with that's going to be the main challenge, like, because in the past I've become somewhat of an asshole in preps. You
Oh, we
just
all are.
I go to like this place and I don't want to do that this time. I mean, she doesn't deserve it. She's a freaking angel. I don't want to subject my son to it. And a lot of competitors just give themselves permission to do that because it is a short period of time and it is a very rigorous activity that you're doing. So they automatically kind of default to giving themselves permission to be an asshole. And I've been guilty of that. Most competitors have. But if I don't give myself permission to do that, then I don't think I will,
Mm-hmm. 100%. I love that. Thank you so much for that. Can we jump into keto bricks?
Yeah, man, whatever you want to talk about.
Good stuff. All right. So just placed an order for a dozen of the nootropic ones, which I'm amped about. Looks like they got a lot of superfoods in them. Specifically, lion's mane mushroom. That's kind of a hot topic lately on Mind Pump and Sean Model's show, the Model Health Show.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the scoop on this? Why
lion's mane, it's a nootropic blend of mushroom. I'm not a nootropic specialist. We did a partnership with Keto Brain. So like Keto Brains is another company, and they have like this coffee cream that I've been using for years. It's basically the lion's mane. It's got L-Theanine, it's got alpha GPC in there, and MCT oil powder, and they put that in their coffee. And I was putting it in my coffee. I'm like, well, shoot, I'm just gonna put this in the bricks. And then we made this collaboration brick. But yeah, it's basically just a neurocognitive enhancing substance. So nootropic mushroom, basically.
Sounds like a biohack.
Yeah, a biohack of sorts for sure. But it's not like caffeine. Like it's not like something that you take and you feel more alert, but at the cost of being more jittery or anxious or anything like that.
How's been tapering off of coffee going for you and reducing your caffeine intake?
I didn't taper at all, man. I just went cold turkey, no coffee.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were doing a gradual approach.
Yeah, so I went like, I don't know, probably about a month now. I haven't had any coffee. And it was good because I mean, I had prior to that, I had whittled my coffee down quite a bit. Like for the past, year, so I've probably just been at 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day. So for me to go from that to zero coffee wasn't too much of a stretch. But yeah, I've enjoyed it, man. I probably get less than 50 milligrams of caffeine a day right now. It's all just coming from tea. So haven't had any issues, haven't any headaches. So I feel pretty good.
Wow, good for you. That's amazing. You're my inspiration. I'm down from like 700 or 800 milligrams a day as of 6 months ago through this last competition season, being at that level of body fat for about 8 months, which was
Yeah.
definitely too long.
At one point, I was taking in like 3,000 milligrams of caffeine a day. So definitely good to not be taking in that much for sure.
Right. And then for those that don't know, nootropic, according to Wikipedia, these are numerous natural, semi-synthetic, and synthetic molecules that improve cognitive functions. Not that I just had, so I should probably get on that.
It's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
All right. Well, I'm going to be looking at the tracking information very, very close on that then.
Well, we I guess with you being in Washington, we probably have like it's either a 2 or 3 day ship time, so you should get it probably by the end of the week.
Yeah, my influencer bundle got here like 2 days ago. Went
Yeah,
right. So thanks again
nice.
for that.
Nice.
Yeah. So most of our clients consume exclusively meat and salt. For
Mhm.
those like me that enjoy consuming them on a daily basis, Keto Brick said is as a slight modification on that rule, as and many of our clients do the same thing. Which bar contains the highest percentage of animal-based ingredients if their goal, like mine, is to eliminate plants as a general rule of thumb?
So we had that special edition that Bell's Brownie Batter brick. Where we partnered up with Mark Bell and we made that one with a steak shake protein, with his steak shake protein. That was another collaboration brick we did. That one had like egg white protein, beef protein concentrate, beef protein isolate, collagen protein plus an organ blend. So that's going to be the highest concentration of animal-based proteins. But we also have several whey-based. So we have some plant-based bricks and some whey-based bricks. And the whey-based bricks all use a grass-fed whey concentrate, and those are all going to have about the same percentage of protein from whey concentrate in those.
Awesome. I couldn't find the one that had organs in it on your website. Is there a set launch date for those?
It sold out like in 3 days, man. It was gone in no time. Yeah.
Oh wow. So are they coming back or?
I'm gonna try and bring it back. It's a pretty lengthy time to source that protein, so the lead time's pretty long on it. So I don't know when they'll come back, but I certainly want to bring them back. So when they do, I'll be certain letting you know for sure.
Right on. Cool. Thanks for that. Flavors aside, because they're all bomb, especially if you're fat adapted and animal based, mostly in your nutrition. Which, because you know how it is, if you're consuming things that if you're not keto and if you're consuming carbs, then it's not going to taste the same. But if you don't consume carbs, then it just tastes as good as your favorite candy bar, really.
Yeah, for sure.
It changes your palate. Yeah. So, which bar is your favorite, strictly from a performance perspective?
Man,
If there is a difference.
yeah, I mean, there's not that much of a difference between the flavors from a performance standpoint because they're all using pretty much the same primary ingredients. There is a little bit of caffeine in the mocha flavor. So, I mean, if people wanted the caffeine from that, they could go for that. The nootropic does have the cognitive benefits. So if you want to incorporate that into the performance, you can use that. But I mean, they're all going to have a pretty close proximity to the amount of cacao butter in them. So that's the main fat source in them. And those are really high in stearic acid. So you're going to get that benefit. Most flavors have some MCT oil powder. And then depending on whether you get the plant-based or the whey-based, you're going to have, varying degrees of protein, but they're all about the same amount of protein intake as well, between 30 grams and like 38 grams, I guess, protein. So they've all got pretty similar macronutrients in that regard.
Yeah,
But
they're all basically the same, like within 5%, I think.
yeah. But the main benefit that you're going to get across the board with all flavors is just simply that quality fat source, the cacao butter. And most people are trying to avoid the plants for the phytotoxins, for the the oxalates. You're not really going to have any of those in cacao butter anyway. So the reason you are avoiding plants, I mean, and having a cacao butter alternative to it. That shouldn't really derail any of the progress or reasons why people are avoiding plants in the first place.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. You mentioned stearic acid or something in cacao butter. What's that?
So stearic acid is a really long chain form carbon bond. So if you think of like butter, for instance, if you put a pat of butter in your hand, it's going to melt. Cacao butter will not do that. That's why the bricks are shelf stable. It doesn't melt because it has a longer carbon bond. And it's a saturated fat, so there's not any opportunity for it to become like unstable in that regard. Like a lot of polyunsaturated fats that are used in vegetable oils and whatnot are unstable. That's not the case with the saturated fat. And stearic acid, the jury's still out on this, but one of the theories is that stearic acid makes the fat cell, the adipocyte itself, more insulin resistant. So we want to become more insulin sensitive as a whole, but at the fat site itself, you want that to become more insulin resistant. So I don't know how true this is. I've seen some pretty compelling research, but basically stearic acid is one of the greatest ways to make that adipocyte more insulin resistant. So again, I don't know the efficacy of that. I don't know how. That's kind of new research right now in the space. So I'm excited to dive into that. But as a whole, stearic acid doesn't really cause any GI distress. People tolerate it very well. It's absorbed and assimilated by the body fairly easily. And it just provides a long-lasting fuel source. So from a dietary fat standpoint, it's a pretty good quality dietary fat.
I can see why now. Yeah, it's basically the only process, I guess, if you even want to call it that, or non-meat and salt product that really sits in my stomach well to the point to where I feel like my body identifies it as food. Because you know how it is, if it's loaded with artificial sweeteners, it's going to throw off your satiety signals. It's probably going to jack up your insulin. Have you noticed an insulin spike or anything kind of like goofy?
No, I'm super stable with the bricks, man. I can have a brick. I'll take like a blood glucose test, ketone test, before and post consumption of a brick, and it's like just totally flatline. So really good. No spikes there. And saturated fat, I mean, the whole cholesterol debate is something we can get into if you want. But interestingly enough, a lot of people that follow Western medicine recommend cacao butter from a cholesterol standpoint because of all the saturated fats. Most studies indicate that it actually reduces total cholesterol, whereas a lot of other saturated fats increase. So again, like, I don't think what most Western medicine recommends from a cholesterol standpoint is accurate, but it is kind of interesting that of saturated fats, cacao butter does not contribute to an increase in cholesterol numbers.
Okay. And even if it did, you need to be more concerned about your triglycerides, right? To be concerned about heart risk.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah. That's my biggest takeaway with Matt Kershaw. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's trained by Sean Baker, and he's a carnivore fitness coach in Australia. So nice. Yeah, we talked at length quite a bit about that. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. So on a business note, and still in regards to Keto Bricks, Taylor and I just experienced a bit of a business setback last week. I guess you could call it that. Not fun. So to summarize without details, basically some scam artist found me online as a coach on Google and manipulated me into accepting a payment with a stolen credit card, and worked me pretty good. You know me, I'm easy to trust. You've probably experienced something similar to this at some point, but learning lessons. So basically, we're going to be liable for a few grand, possibly several grand. We're all good. Jesus taught that first seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be provided for you. Matthew 6:33. So the more that we do what's right, and we find that we're always taken care of on the back end. What's a business setback that you've experienced regarding Keto Brick, and how did you and Crystal overcome that?
Man, there's been too many to count. What kind of setback do you want? So like packaging setbacks, man, there's just been all kinds of things. Like we've had like suppliers, ingredients, like they'll send ingredients that, don't meet our standards. So we have to like send them back. We had one shipment of protein powder come in, and we were out of town at a conference, and they just like, we're supposed to sign for it and before they deliver it, but they like just dropped it off in the middle of the parking lot, and it rained all night long. So we obviously couldn't use any of that protein powder. I mean, there's just been like literally countless instances, man. Like when we moved to this new facility, we were living in the warehouse, the prior facility for 3 years. Then we bought this new facility in 2020 and had a year's worth of time to renovate it. And our contractor totally ran us ragged, man. Like he was way over budget, like 40% over budget, and way past schedule. So it's like we had to move out of our prior building to get into this building, and everything's not done. So we can't make production. We can't do bricks. So I'm literally paying my crew to, do construction work to get them hours because they want the hours, but I'm not making any bricks. I'm not making any money. And the contractor's way over budget. I mean, it's just total nightmare chaos stuff, like things that like almost put you out of business. But
Yeah.
you just keep on grinding it out and keep on waking up and doing it one day after another, man. That's just the name of the game.
Yeah. Well, and you guys just lead by example too. So
We try, brother. We try.
thanks for doing that. And you guys are always so open about just like what's going on in your life, on your podcast and stuff. It's exciting listening to your podcast, not just hearing the guests that you have on, but half of the fun is just like, oh, okay, what are they doing next? What are they doing next? So you're setting the pace for me, brother.
We always got some in the pipeline for sure.
Yeah. Biohacks. Is it okay if we touch on that for a little bit?
Yeah, man, whatever you want.
All right, cool. So I've been doing a lot of BFR training, more so for mental health, cognitive optimization. I like doing that before meetings because it puts me in a peak state of mind. Cold exposure, holding my breath underwater, stuff like that. Do you have any quirky biohacks that you kind of use to optimize your health throughout the day?
Mouth taping. I sleep with tape on my mouth. Have you tried that?
Oh, I think I remember reading that in your book.
Yeah. So mouth taping, basically, when you sleep, your tongue oftentimes, your mouth slightly opens more often than not, and your tongue will move and block your airway, so you can't fall into as deep a sleep. So if you simply take some micropore tape and tape your mouth shut, you put that tape on your lips, then your tongue stays stationary and you're forced to breathe nasally throughout the night, and then you'll be able to fall into a deeper sleep and stay there longer. So that's one simple biohack. And then I've been doing the cold plunge pretty much every morning. So like there's a cold plunge has been super hyped up here lately. And there are some supposed benefits. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't think it's great from a hypertrophy standpoint because you are kind of minimizing that hormetic stress response of the training itself.
Yep.
If you cold plunge immediately post workout.
Yep.
But I plunge first thing in the morning before I train. So I like it simply because it starts the day off of doing something hard that's not desirable. So for me, the mental benefit's been great.
Yeah, awesome. For me, it's basically the same thing, just a cold shower. And lately, the weather's been so cold that just running outside with Zion in the mornings has been kind of our cold therapy.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. A
Blood-
sauna would be great. I don't have a sauna, but yeah, the sauna would be great.
Mm-hmm. Blood flow restriction. Is that something you've ever monkeyed around with?
Yeah, I've done it a little bit. I don't do it regularly. I do BFR training when I am injured, trying to get some blood flow and stimulus to the area that is injured, or if I'm doing like a deload week or something like that, where I still want to stimulate the muscle, but at a much lighter load. But I don't do it on the regular basis. But whenever I do it, I mean, you definitely feel it. Like the pump that you get with BFR is quite unlike anything else.
Mm-hmm. Could you summarize like a real quick BFR workout, just like off the top of your head, one of the recent times when you have used it?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much doing like sets of 20 to 15 or 15 to, at least 12 to 20 reps with every set of BFR training. I'll typically do it circuit style. So I'll just cycle through, some pumping movements, like some, I'll superset like biceps and triceps. If I have BFR bands for my legs, I'll do like a quad extension hamstring curl. And I'll just, do a very quickly, fast oriented circuit style training with those high rep counts to just force as much blood into the tissue as possible, but at a much lighter training load.
Mm-hmm. How long do you have the bands on?
Man, I'm a glutton for punishment. I leave them on throughout the entire workout. So if I'm just trying to target like a specific body part, like if I'm supersetting bis and tris, I may have it on for like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, mine was 30 minutes this morning too. Bis and tris, just back and forth, a little bit of glutes.
Yeah, no, it's good. Good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Sodium and electrolytes. A couple questions on these. All right. Favorite go-to potassium supplement that you're using currently?
Potassium, I do like. So upgraded formulas, I like all of their supplements because they're all nano-sized. So basically, they're smaller than your red blood cells. So you have 100% absorption rate, so you don't excrete near as much of it, which is good. If you want to go the route of a salt form, like a electrolyte blend, I like the Relight because it has a 2-to-1 ratio of sodium to potassium built in. So having a 2-to-1 ratio built in works well. When it comes to electrolytes in general, I pretty much use three different sources. I use the Relight, I use LMNT, and then I use Mike Mutzel's Myoscience brand. His is good because it has creatine in there, so I like that. The Elements is good because it just tastes really good. That's probably the best tasting one for sure.
Mm-hmm. So all of those have artificial sweeteners, unless you get a specifically unflavored version of them, to my knowledge.
Yeah, they all use stevia.
Mhm.
Pretty sure they all use stevia. Stevia, and I think maybe monk fruit on some of them.
Do you go with the flavored or the unflavored?
I go with the flavored. Like I'm not tripping out too much. I don't have a negative response to those flavoring agents, so I'll have them. I'll have like one or two servings throughout the day, and I don't really notice any issues with it.
Mm-hmm. You know who Daryl Bosshart is, the researcher at Redmond?
I think I've met him, but I haven't interacted with him much. No.
He's an awesome guy, man. You'd love talking with him. But this is his idea, and we totally tried this, and it's great. So you gotta try this, bro. Is the mango flavored? Dip any pork meat into the mango flavor, bro. That is a good flavor combination. It's
Just
like
the Redmond.
it's a total sweetness overload, but just dip it into the powder and the mango flavor and the
Huh.
electrolytes. Oh yeah, no.
We'll give that a shot then for sure.
Yep. All right. Have you ever over consumed salt? And if so, what were the symptoms?
Yeah. So during my 2017 prep, it was like the last month of prep, and I was just hungry, man. I was craving something, and I
Hmm.
had Brussels sprouts with a ton of salt on them, and I literally gained. It was like 8 pounds of water overnight. So I woke up tripping because I thought I just totally, ruined my entire prep, but it was just because of that extra sodium load. So I just allowed my body to kind of reset itself, got the sodium and potassium back in check, and then my weight stabilized. So all is well.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely overloaded sodium, and you can set your body's equilibrium set point at a higher or lower level of sodium. You just have to do so gradually because it takes a few days to that set point to reestablish. You have to be consistent with it. So if you want to set your body set point at 10 grams of sodium a day, you can do so. You got to make sure you're taking in enough potassium. If you want to set it at 5 grams a day, you could also do so. And people are going to have different sweet spots, but the main thing is just to be consistent with your intake so that your body can, in fact, stabilize.
Hmm. Awesome. What is your favorite salt and why?
So I definitely like Redmond's Real Salt. I'm a fan of their stuff. I like all the people that work at Redmond. I like that it is mined from underneath the earth, and it's got zero pollutants or contaminants in it. So
Mhm.
that's a huge plus, as opposed to like salt that you're getting out of the ocean that's going to have all kinds of contaminants in it. So that's pretty much my go-to when it comes to sodium.
Awesome. All right. Um, if you like that one, I'm gonna send you our pink. I'm gonna send you Celtic Sea Salt's pink cave salt. Have you ever had that?
No, but I see you posting about Celtic sea salt all the time. Is it pretty good?
Yeah, that's an understatement. So this one's mine. You'll love this. It's mined very, very similar to how Redmond does theirs, but this is from a cave, and for whatever reason, cave salts typically have a very, very high potassium content. So this actually has as much potassium as it does sodium in it. So
Wow, I know that. Yeah, I'll definitely try that.
yeah, I think you'll like it. Let's see. So a couple personal questions on bodybuilding and composition, if that's all right.
Yeah, man, let's go.
Cool. So I'm on a mission to stay around 5 to 10 pounds above stage weight and increase my fat from 400 grams a day to 500 grams a day. I'm currently consuming about 200 to 250 grams of protein, depending on what's in our refrigerator. Taylor's on the contest prep right now, so I kind of fill in my macros after I make sure she's squared away. But I'm just gonna be guest posing this year, not actually competing. It's kind of a nice feeling, really. I don't knowing that I'm not going to be judged this year. It's Taylor's turn. Do you think that's possible without gaining unwanted fat to get those macros numbers up that high?
And you're consuming how much fat currently? 400 grams, you said?
Yeah, about 400 grams a day.
I mean, you could certainly consume that much more fat and not likely experience a significant gain in body fat if you do so gradually and then you're doing so in tandem with an increased training load, progressive overload principles.
Yep.
Ideally, you wouldn't be doing a whole bunch of additional cardio. But if you reverse diet super slowly and you titrate that up over enough period of time as your training increases, then yeah, I don't expect that you would see a significant increase in body fat.
Cool. Great. So I'll take it one day at a time and just go slowly and monitor the scale. And if the scale is going up a little bit, that should probably be okay, assuming that I might gain 2 or 3 pounds of natural muscle by July.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like increase by 5 grams of fat a week, and if you see the scale increase too quickly, then hold that intake constant for a week and then, increase another 5 grams the following week.
Yeah. Maybe just up the stair mill a little bit on your next workout and call it good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right.
Why 500 grams? Is there like a specific reason you want 500 grams?
No, just a goal, just a number. I just want to see how much fat that I can that I can consume by then, and push the envelope and try to focus on being more full instead of just like bone shredded. I'm going for more of a sustainable year-round look this year, because let's get honest, most guest posers usually aren't stage shredded.
Yeah, I mean, my walking around weight is like 180 pounds, 16% body fat. It's kind of my, maintenance level conditioning there. And I'm excited to get leaner for sure.
But I mean, you're shredded right now.
Yeah, it's weird, man. My 15% body fat looks pretty lean still. Like I've got, I've got all visible abs. I got striations in my quads still at 15% body fat. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah. I envy you. My abs are the last thing I see, the tail end of a prep.
What's your body fat right now? You definitely got the abs still right now.
I mean, I have abs if I'm in perfect lighting, but you don't really see them throughout the day. I'm good. I'm good on Instagram because I know the camera angles and everything. But throughout the rest of the day, I'm just a normal dude.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. You gotta be normal to kind of counterbalance the prep mode for sure.
Exactly. I'm like Instagram and working out and video content is all like a couple hour a day time block, and the rest of it I just try to forget about it and be a dad and a coach. Right?
Nice. There you go.
Yeah. So Taylor, my wife, is currently 18 months out from her first show ever. We hired Danielle Rainwater in Seattle, Washington to coach her on her hypertrophy training, basically posing, everything except her diet, because she and I are tag teaming that together, basically just the way that you teach and the way that I did my last shows. Her coach wants her to be on a 4-week mini cut before starting and then doing a little bit of a building phase. So she's been on 80 grams of protein, 160 grams of fat at the very, very start of her prep. So she's just finishing up phase 1, just got 100% fat adapted. Coach wants her to do a little bit of a mini cut. So we dropped 40 grams of fat and up the protein. So now she's at 120. She's now intaking less energy. I feel like that's a good spot to start. I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts or if you need any more information to be able to tell.
So she's doing you said she's 18 months out or 18 weeks out?
Excuse me, 18 months out. Yep.
18 months out. So she's got a long time to kind of finesse with things. So, I mean, if she's got
a lot of
that
time.
much time,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if she's got that much time. Yeah, I mean, I'm not generally a fan of mini cuts, but if she could start her actual prep, I don't know what her composition is currently, body fat wise and stuff. But the leaner you can start a prep, the better, as long as you're still consuming, ample calories. And we can talk about calories too. I know Bart Kay can talk about calories.
I know it's a C word now. I don't even want to say it again.
Yeah, I know. But like as long as you're consuming enough energy at the start of a prep, then you're good to go. But the leaner you can be at the onset of a prep, in the context of still consuming enough energy, that's optimal. So, if she does a mini cut, then she will likely be leaner at the onset of a prep, but she will sacrifice potential muscle building, during that mini cut period. So it's kind of a trade-off in that regard. So if her primary goal is, she's already strong. She's got a lot of muscle on her. So it's not the end of the world if she sacrifices some muscle building potential and just more so maintains what she's got to lean out a little bit prior to the actual cut, as long as after that mini cut, she does ramp her calories back up and has that higher intake to start with.
Okay. Awesome. So do the mini cut, but don't do it for too long, and then get to the building phase sooner rather than later, which I think is their plan anyway, and make the most of it, kind of minimize cardio, and then reassess after 12 months. Cool.
Bingo.
Cool. Bingo. Do you think that jumping from 80 grams of protein to 120 that quick would knock her out of ketosis?
Nah, I mean, she should be fine because she's still consuming ample dietary fat. She's fat adapted. She'll be totally fine.
Cool. Great. Got the BioSense breath tone ketone monitor too. So
nice.
I'll make sure that we're monitoring that. I think that's pretty much it, man. That's all the questions I was dying to ask. And I completely respect your time. So unless there's anything else that you wanted to cover, I'll let you get
Good,
back
man.
at it.
How's your foot doing? Totally fine.
Thanks so much. Thanks for asking. It's not fine actually, and I'm suffering some sort of a stress fracture. So basically, it's gonna be a few weeks of just not running at all, which is gonna really set back my marathon training. Which is why focusing on more of a sustainable year-round look this year, I think, is the next bucket list item to check off.
Yeah.
Certainly don't want to step on stage anytime soon.
And the marathon is when? Do you have a date for the marathon or no?
Yeah, we were looking at a couple different ones around August.
Mm.
And the way that our and just for the record, the goal is not to win this marathon. The goal is to successfully cross the finish line with my dog and not be dead by then. So as long as we cross the finish line, that's kind of the ultimate goal. But yeah, it'll probably just have to wait a year or something.
Shoot, you can totally do it, man. Like as long as your feet are conditioned, you're fine. Like I did that marathon with zero training, and like from an energy standpoint, I was 100% totally fine, man. No sacrifice energy whatsoever. I didn't bonk. I fasted the whole way through, no issues. The main thing was my feet were not ready for that, just constant pounding. So as long as you're conditioning your feet, then you're rock solid, brother.
Awesome. Yeah, and then it's still got a whole bunch of like rash issues, and it just, yeah, at this point I'm happy that it's still there because you remember the story. Almost had to get it amputated.
Yeah, don't do anything that's gonna leave you footless, man. You definitely make sure you're taking care of that for sure.
Yeah, I got one good foot no matter what, but having two functional feet is definitely going to be optimal from a health perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
Good stuff. What's next? What's next for you, man?
Man, also just keep my head down, working on this course, and then the prep. Like I said, it's starting in a few weeks, so it's about to be game time with that. But honestly, I don't expect my life to change too drastically between now and the prep, or when the prep starts, because I mean I'm more or less tracking my macros now. I'm kind of loosely tracking, but I'll get really rigid with it when the prep starts. I'm still training consistently. My daily routine's pretty much gonna be the same. So everything that I do in a prep, I'm doing now to kind of prepare for the prep. So it should be just smooth sailing, man. Just getting in the grind again. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. As you mentioned earlier, prepping for a show can be real tough on the family, real tough on the home life. You can get moody and stuff, and that necessarily isn't probably the best thing for your marriage. So going into this show, with those things obviously being the most important thing in your life, what have you learned from previous competitions that you're going to do differently coming into these shows?
I think honestly, just being present with the fact that this is all my own doing. Like if I am miserable, if I am hungry, if I'm depleted, if I'm tired, if I'm drained, it's my own fault. So it's not reasonable for me to blame anybody else. It's not reasonable for me to lash at anybody else because they certainly don't deserve it. This is all my own doing. So if it is my own doing, then I need to take it in stride and accept responsibility for that action and just freaking own it. So if I do that and I'm incredibly disciplined with my day so that it doesn't get away from me and I can afford to be present and be proactive instead of reactive, I imagine that the likelihood of those negative, reactions are going to be significantly minimized.
100%.
Yeah.
It's we're in this for the long haul, and we're in this for a very specific reason. And there seems to be a lot of gray area between how hard to push towards proving that this peaking strategy works and proving that this peaking strategy works and being able to learn from those experiences, but also go, okay, how much is enough, and how and when am I committing to too much? Because I definitely did that last year.
Yeah. And for me, like, I don't know, man, I've done so many preps now, and I've got all this data, and I just really know my body well. So I don't really have to second guess my macros or my decision making. I just simply do it. And then if I do it correctly and I do it consistently, it's going to work out. And the beauty of having so many clients over the years is that I've implemented the same protocol on them. And as long as they do it, it works out. Like they look great. So not having that anxiety associated with will it work or will it not? Just simply knowing that it will, if I put in the effort, is pretty comforting. I just got to put my head down and make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I seem to be more of the put it into action and lots of anecdotal evidence, but but
Yeah.
being able to cite a scientific study right off the top of my head, that's just impossible. It's just I'm not wired that way. I'm not wired like Jonathan Griffiths and Bart Kay and these other guys.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know. For me, like, I think that's great. Like having the studies, having the the evidence is great. But like for me, I want something tangible. Like I like tangible. It's kind of like stock markets and bitcoins and investments like that. Like that to me is not very tangible. But real estate, building a business, seeing a product, working with people, those are all tangible things for me. And I look at prep and nutrition the same way. Like there can be a study that shows that, a diet full of nothing but bananas and plantains is what you need to do for the best health markers and outcome. But if you feel like shit doing it and you like the way a steak tastes and you feel great and you look great eating the steak, then I'm going to freaking eat steak. And I don't really care what the study says. So I don't discredit the studies at all, but I don't fixate on them either.
Hey everyone, Coach Taylor Milton here. Welcome to Skull Bells TV, the official YouTube channel of supersetyourlife.com, where you're going to discover a weekly upload of quick and easy to follow workout tutorials featuring Coach Colt, myself, or one of our athletes to keep your workouts fun, practical, and effective. Our family's latest keto carnivore recipes that fuel Colt's competitions and keep myself and our kiddos strong and healthy. Video uploads of the supersetyourlife.com podcast, now over 100 episodes. Your weekly dose of entertainment, education, and inspiration to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym, and much more. Last thing before we get into the video, we're asking a big favor from you. This has been working beautifully, so if you would please think of someone you care about that would benefit from this video, go ahead and smash that like button, click the share button, and text this video to them. That would mean the world to us. And while you're at it, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss more exciting content from Skull Bells TV, because our team has lots of meat and lots of muscle coming your way, and I promise you won't want to miss it. When you hit the subscribe button, you'll see a bell icon pop up. You want to click that too so you're notified every time we release a new video. Thank you so much for the support. It means the world to us. Every like, share, and subscription helps our channel grow and supports our family's hard work. So thank you so much for doing your part too. That's all we ask. God bless you, and please enjoy this video.
Mm-hmm. There's the perfect diet, which you and I both have our opinions on, and an experience on what works best for us. There's the perfect diet, and then there's diets that are like the standard American diet, which would be the far opposite extreme of that. Then you got paleo, and you got stuff that's kind of midway in between, and those being midway may not be our goal as coaches, to get somebody more towards a low carb ketogenic route.
Yeah.
But I think in a lot of ways it's a step in the right direction. And sometimes doing that instead of quitting cold turkey, because you and me are both cold turkey people, and we can quit something cold turkey. We're all or nothing. A lot of people can't really do that. Do you find that when you have clients come into your plans that they do better abstaining from carbs cold turkey, or getting off little by little?
I get both kinds, man. But most people that come to work with me, they know me as a strict keto guy. So they know that I'm not going to be recommending carbs, and they kind of want to go that route of no carbs anyways. But the ones that want to incorporate some carbs, like I'm pretty flexible with them. Like I want it to be sustainable for them. And like the benefits for them of a well-formulated ketogenic diet with some occasional carbs is going to far outweigh a standard American diet and an occasional keto approach. Like I got to find where they're at and then meet them there. And then as they continue to see progress, they tend to want to just refine and polish that even more, which oftentimes comes with fewer and fewer carbohydrates and processed foods.
Mm-hmm. Whenever you do recommend carb sources, if someone asks, what do you say? What are your go-tos there?
Well, I don't really recommend them, but it's kind of like the lesser of two evils, I guess, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so if they're going to have the carbs, and I just obviously recommend very low glycemic index carbs, um, like vegetation, like some form of vegetation over something like white rice. Certainly no processed junk food, carbohydrates, sugary carbs. But if they want the carbs, if they want that volume, if they want that texture, then just cauliflower, and then green veggies, pretty much.
Hmm. Awesome.
Yep.
Boy, I could sit here and just keep firing away questions, man.
Man, that's what I'm here for, brother.
What was your how did your conversation with your client go earlier today? What was like the biggest takeaway coaching moment that you left him off with?
He's a cool dude, man. He just turned 60, and he did a prep with me when he was 58, and he got freaking shredded. Like really freaking shredded. And he's gonna do another competition. And he was doing that last prep. I felt so bad for him, man. Like he did the show, right? He did the prep, and then like COVID, like it all fell in the same COVID time frame. So like his show got canceled and moved, and his photo shoot got canceled and moved. Like everything he did not have anything going for him from a scheduling standpoint because of the pandemic. So I'm excited for this go around to happen because like it'll be smooth sailing. He and I have shows on the same date. So we're starting the prep at the same time. We're starting at similar macros. He weighs the same as I do. So we're starting at a pretty similar starting point. So it's just going to be cool for us to kind of act as, me, his coach, him, my client, but also kind of an accountability factor standpoint of us going through similar macros, similar changes, similar time frame, and just making it happen, seeing it through to the end.
Yeah. Is that show the Washington show that you're describing?
That's the one I'm going to be doing. He's doing one in Canada at the same time.
Oh, okay, right on. So different locations, but the same date. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Where are you do you already have your after party and everything planned out for?
No, I haven't figured any of that out. Because I mean, honestly, after that show is Worlds, so I'm probably gonna keep it pretty tight after that show, man. Like I'm just gonna be like I'm not celebrating anything until after the fat lady sings, as the saying goes. Like until the whole getting caboodle, the whole competition prep season is done.
Yeah, and is that going to be IPE Worlds or INBF or WNBF?
Yeah, INBF WNBF Worlds.
Okay.
That's mid-November for that one.
Because you're an IPE pro and a WNBF pro?
No, so I don't have WNBF pro status. I need to earn that. That's my goal, is to earn that. I got my pro card in GBO. There's so many freaking federations now. So I do not have my WNBF pro card, but that's the federation that I like the most. So that's what I'm gonna try and get my pro card in.
Yeah. They seem to have the strictest drug testing from the shows that I've done.
Yeah, they're super strict, and like the competitors are top flight, man. Like they're well respected in that federation for sure. They've been around a very long time. So it's kind of, I don't know, one of the upper echelons from a federation standpoint in the natural realm. And if I compete and earn my pro card early enough, then I'll be competing, like I'll have to compete as a pro. So it'll be like my pro debut competing against other pros in that federation too, which will be pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite WNBF pro and why?
Oh man. Honestly, I don't really have a favorite, man. Like I respect them all. They're all so different.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Alberto Nunez's content. He prepped this year, and he's got some really great information. He's very well thought out and just deep with his content. Like he talks about things. He talks about mindset. He talks about the mentality that goes into the prep and just all the manipulations that he makes. So I respect him a lot. He's been around in the space for a long time too. So he's definitely a seasoned veteran.
Yeah. Awesome. I have to say that my favorite is probably Liam McKeon from the UK.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Yeah. I mean, great physiques.
Yeah, I call him the natural Tom Platz. That guy's legs, man. He's a grandpa too. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's wild, man. And like you look at these natural pros, and they maintain that physique well into their later years. Like you look at a lot of these IFBB pros, and it's like they get off the competitive stage, and they oftentimes go downhill real quick, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much everybody that I lose to is just they got 20 years on me. I'm like, I'll get there.
You got the conditioning though, man. I mean, you're always coming in super shredded for sure.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Last question is definitely a selfish question. What's the biggest dad lesson you've learned lately, and why?
Biggest dad lesson. Uh, I don't know, man. I had like the most stressed day, and then I come home and Rigel's just like happy, like he's just happy. He's smiling at me. He waves at me when I come home. He waves at me when I leave to go to work, and it's like it's not worth it to be stressed out around him because he certainly doesn't deserve that. And like he just wants me to be there, wants me to be present. So really focusing on being present when I'm there. Like I'm not there for very much time because I do work a lot. Crystal's there all day. But the time that I am there, I need to be fully there and just really embrace him and give him my all. So just making that a priority is the biggest lesson. And it's not like we all inherently know that, but so many of us lose sight of it. Like we let ourselves get distracted with superficial things that don't matter, like Instagram feeds, Netflix, TV shows. Like who cares about that stuff? Just be present with your kids because there will come a time when they're not there anymore. And, you can't take those times for granted.
I've noticed that you always get back to my DMs, but sometimes it's like a day or two later, but you always get back to it. It almost seems like you block off Instagram to a limited portion a day so that you can be a better dad and a better business owner and just completely forget about it and check in, check out. Is that probably how you go around?
Yeah, I am not great at Instagram DMs. Like when I look at Instagram DMs, I try and do it like once every week. So once a week, I'll try and knock out on my DMs. Sometimes I go 2 weeks before doing DMs. But like with emails, I check emails every single day. I respond to those.
Yeah.
But like with Instagram DMs, it's kind of like a weekly occurrence for me for sure. But I am definitely not like I'll open Instagram and I like look at the first few stories and like scroll for 30 seconds. But I am not spending hours a day scrolling through Instagram. Like, I just don't have the time. I don't have the desire. It's not productive for me. So it's not something I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. I need to hear that too. Cause for us, as business owners, like it's a source of lead gen and everything. And so that's kind of the reason that we're on Instagram in the first place. And you can just get lost in DMs for hours and hours. Then like this one takes you that direction. This one takes you that direction. And then before you know it, your whole day's shot.
Yeah. When it comes to DMs, man, like, and people should be respectful enough to know that if they're going to DM you, it's not instant messaging. It's not like you have their, personal cell phone and you're in their inner circle. Like I look at like DMs, like almost like emails, except I check emails more regularly than I do DMs. But like people can't expect an instant response with an Instagram DM.
No.
And if they do, then that's kind of being disrespectful towards your time. Like I would not DM somebody that I look up to and expect them to respond immediately. And if they don't, me get offended by it. Like, that's just not realistic.
Right. Or like any service, really. It's like, you're not going to DM a lawyer and ask for legal advice and get an immediate answer right away. You're like, no, like I should probably sign up for a consultation or something. or
and a lot of the DMs I get, I mean, they're questions. I mean, they're all kinds of questions. They're about everything. But I do try and get back to every single one of them. I just don't do it daily. And I think like I have not really had anybody that's given me issues with that. So it's been working pretty well for me in that regard.
Yeah, I found that people are, especially on Instagram, are very understanding. If you even just like need a week off of it. I mean, some people just flat out or get to a point where like, I can't even look at this for a week. I need to take some time off.
Can't be consumed by social media. It'll just drain you, man. So it's definitely not the most important thing in the world.
Right. 100%. Okay. I know that last question that I said was the last question, but this is definitely the last question.
All right.
So we're going to be relocating to Montana.
I hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very soon. Yeah. And we're going to be doing a lot of hunting. We're going to be raising all of our own livestock. I already have a couple of pieces of property looked at that we're eyeing, but really just to embrace the carnivore bodybuilding lifestyle, because at this point that's all we've been doing for the last year anyway, and we don't see any reason to change anytime soon. So, going to be doing a lot of hunting. Right now, all I have is right next to me actually a Glock and an AR-15. Probably not the best for hunting. What kind of rifles should I be looking at?
In Montana, I would get a 300 Win Mag.
Okay.
300 Win Mag. I mean, that's you're going to have some bigger game.
And I'm going for venison too, by the way. Whitetail and muleys is mostly what we have.
Yeah, just get a 300 Win Mag. That's what I've got. You can pretty much hunt anything in North America with a 300 Win Mag. It's going to be a little overkill for like pronghorn antelope and whitetail, but you can also confidently hunt moose and elk with it, So it's going to be the most effective, all-in-one gun you can get, especially if you're living in Montana. So a 300 Win Mag would be the way to go for sure. Plus, they've got really good ballistics. You can get a heavier grain bullet. You can get a lighter grain bullet. It's just really, really versatile.
Okay, that's amazing. The bodybuilder in me would like to know what kind of game, if any, is most friendly to a ketogenic diet, like with high-fat foods.
I mean, any deer game is going to be pretty lean, like elk, moose, whitetail, muleys. They're all going to be relatively lean. Bear is going to have a lot more fat on it for sure. But most wild game in general is going to be relatively lean, so you probably have to just add some additional fat to it. But you can totally do that, and it's delicious. So definitely don't let the leaner cuts of meat sway you away from hunting, because you can just simply add fat to it. It tastes amazing. So
simply have a keto brick before and after. Check.
Hey, boom, there you go. Problem solved.
Yeah. I'm liking where you're going with the bears, because I don't know what people shoot bears with in your neck of the woods, but up here it's AR-15s. So
Yeah,
just give me another
thing with anything, but I like to have something a little bit more knockdown power than an AR-15. I mean, AR-15 shooting a 223 round, and that's just not a whole lot of energy upon impact. Whereas a 300 Win Mag, I mean, that'll put things down.
Okay, well, I haven't shot a 300 Win Mag, and so I guess we'll need
to kick pretty good. But if you get one that's got a muzzle brake and enough weight behind it, it's not really going to kick that bad.
Cool. Yeah, the goal is to kill the animal but not obliterate it. All right.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. Jeez, how much do I owe you for that? That was
not man.
Ever, man. We covered so much. Jeez.
You go hunting and then you get something, and then you can pay me in a backstrap sometime.
Good stuff, man.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, let's chat again soon, dude.
Anytime, man. Always a pleasure talking with you, brother.